Please subscribe to the channel and stay with me. This story only makes sense if you hear it all the way through. The wine struck my shirt like a slap. Red, expensive, Bordeaux red, spreading across white linen as laughter died mid-breath around the long New Year's table. For a moment no one moved. The chandelier above us hummed softly, its crystals trembling as if they shared the embarrassment. My wife's father slowly lowered his glass and looked straight at me. "You will never be one of us," Henri Laurent said, "no matter how hard you try." Outside the tall windows, Paris burst with distant fireworks, colors flashing against the winter clouds inside the Laurent apartment. 6th arrondissement. Old money, inherited arrogance. Time seemed to freeze around my stained shirt and steady hands. My wife, Claire, whispered my name, not to defend me, but to warn me. I dabbed at my shirt with a napkin and smiled. "It's only wine," I said. "Happy New Year." That was the moment they all misunderstood me. My name is Antoine Morerel. I was raised in Saint-Étienne in a concrete apartment block built for factory workers who believed loyalty mattered more than dignity. My grandfather died underground in a mining accident that was quietly blamed on him. My father learned early that anger only gets you replaced, so he taught me patience. Claire and I had been married for 6 years. To the Laurents, I was always an inconvenience, the educated son of nobody who somehow married their only daughter. They tolerated me because I was useful. I worked in corporate risk analysis. I understood systems, leverage, quiet pressure. Henri thought that made me small. He preferred loud power, old power, the kind that assumes it will never be questioned. Dinner continued awkwardly. Claire's mother avoided my eyes. Her brother, Julien, smirked, enjoying the humiliation like entertainment. Henri drank more, confident, the dominant king of his table. At midnight, they made a toast. I raised my glass as well. "To family," I said. Henri scoffed. "Some of us are born into it." I didn't reply. That night, Claire cried in our bedroom, apologizing for her father without ever saying he was wrong. "You know how he is," she said. "He doesn't mean it." "I know exactly what he means," I replied quietly. She fell asleep. I didn't. I stood by the window watching fireworks scatter over Paris like fleeting promises. Then I picked up my phone and made one call. Not to a lawyer, not to a friend, but to an old contact who owed me a favor. The Laurents had built their fortune in logistics, shipping contracts, port access, cross-border supply chains that looked clean on the surface. Henri loved boasting about his empire. What he never understood was how fragile empires become when they depend on reputation. In the weeks that followed, I did nothing obvious. I tended family lunches, I smiled, I nodded, I wore darker shirts. But quietly, I began pulling threads. Risk assessments were requested, audits quietly initiated, partnerships reevaluated. A single anonymous inquiry landed on the wrong regulatory desk at exactly the right time. Nothing illegal, nothing dramatic, just attention. Henri grew irritated. Delays frustrated him. Julien blamed middle managers. Claire noticed my calm and mistook it for forgiveness. Spring arrived cold and damp. Paris smelled of stone and rain. One morning, Henri called me. "You work with numbers," he said sharply. "You hear things. What's happening?" I paused just long enough. "Markets change," I said. "Sometimes respect does too." He hung up. The investigation deepened. A foreign partner withdrew. A bank froze credit lines pending clarification. The Laurents had built everything on confidence, and confidence fades faster than money. At Sunday dinner, Henri looked smaller. Julien grew defensive. Claire squeezed my hand under the table, sensing the shift but not yet understanding it. "Did you do something?" she asked me later. "Yes," I said. "I stopped protecting them." The moral line cut deeper than I expected. Claire had grown up inside that family. Their cruelty had shaped her the way neglect shapes bone. Quietly, permanently. I wasn't just dismantling Henri. I was forcing her to choose. The climax came in July. during a board meeting I wasn't meant to attend. Henri stood red-faced, shouting at men who no longer feared him. Documents filled the screen. Irregularities, risks, unanswered questions. He demanded loyalty. He received silence. Then someone asked who had initiated the review. All eyes turned to me. I didn't stand. I didn't smile. I did, I said, because respect matters, and I was tired of pretending it didn't. Henri stared at me, finally understanding. You did this because of a glass of wine? No, I replied. I did this because you believed you could throw it. The company survived, stripped down, smaller, controlled by people who understood consequences. Henri was forced into retirement. Julien left Paris. The Laurent name remained, but hollowed out. Claire moved out a month later. Not angrily, quietly. I love you, she said, but I don't know who I am without them. I nodded. Neither did I. Until now, on the next New Year's Eve, I stood alone on the Pont Neuf, watching fireworks bloom over the Seine. The cold bit at my hands. The city roared. Revenge didn't feel loud. It felt inevitable. And for the first time in my life, I raised my glass. Not to family, not to power, but to